much for watching Sullivan's Project's Midmonth review for the month of September 2018. And here we are in the VFW on Garden Street, right by my house. They're going to have a mayors and candidates forum tonight, hosted by the Sierra Vista News Network. SVNN is Levi over there, mayoral candidate, candidate Craig Mount right over there, and Carolyn Humphrey and William Benny just stepped out. Come on in, girl. I have an edit machine, so I'll be fine. And we're going to have a lot of interesting questions tonight. Most of them selected by Levi, but a couple off of Facebook, and it's going to really be fun. So we're going to have a really good time here tonight. What an interesting month. Of course, on the 28th, we had the primary election. My girl, Kelly Ward, did not have enough votes to get in, but she ran a really good campaign, and dollar for dollar just ran warp circles around McSally and Sheriff Joe. It was really good, but unfortunately she didn't win. Michelle Reagan got bought by a guy with big money as well. She's a good friend of mine, so we're going to have a new Secretary of State I know nothing about here. Then I went to the hospital, and that's about all that happened this month. So we're going to probably just concentrate on this debate tonight as part of this presentation. You're good. And so here is our current mayor of Sierra Vista. His name is Rick Mueller, Frederick J. Right? Frederick William Mueller. He's been here for a long time. He's a great guy, so he's going to be in this debate tonight as well. So looking forward to seeing him and Craig over there spar. It's going to be good. But he's doing a really good job here.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah, look at the setup that Levi has, guys. What a setup! I'm telling you. He's actually the closest thing we have in town here to a real TV station, and from what I'm hearing, he's actually going to put one online and make it real. So we see Craig Mount over here. I saw Alicia Ash around here somewhere. There is the mayor right there. The contending candidates for city council are all setting up over there. So we're going to have a good time. How you doing? I'm excellent. Oh, this is also a city. You're on my mid-month review. This is a city council member. Are you staying or going?
I'm staying.
You're staying. Okay.
Yeah.
I know Alicia's getting married and she's going. She's going.
Getting her master's. Yeah.
Yeah. So very glad you're staying. You do a great job with my council.
Thank you.
And we love the times you spend over at the Landmark Cafe over here.
Thank you.
Okay.
Put mine on there. I got an extra one.
2nd, guys. This is the City Council and Mayoral debate here, hosted by the VFW here in Sierra Vista, Arizona, and it's hosted by Levi over here. He does a lot of really cool stuff, guys. So this is gonna be a lot of fun. It's just running a little bit late because of some IT issues, but we're gonna start here in a second. I know. What's up, guys?
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight for the Sierra Vista News Network Mayoral and Council Candidate Forum. My name is Monique James, and I will be your moderator for this event and for the live broadcast. So if you are watching us live and you think you might be able to make it down to VFW Post 9972, come on down before we get started. You still have a few minutes, maybe 2 or 3. If not, you are on the right Facebook page. Tune in, watch the forum, and you are welcome to submit your questions for the candidates in the comments. We will be moderating the entire forum. So before we get started, I'd like to introduce the candidates that we have with us tonight. Starting from my right is Mr. Jason Schmidt. We have Sarah Pacheco. We have Craig Mount. On the other side of the podium, we have Carolyn Humphrey, we have Rick Mueller, and William Benning. So just to give you all a quick rundown of how tonight's broadcast and forum is going to go and what to expect. We will be drawing a name for a candidate before each question is asked. That candidate will have the opportunity to answer the question first. You will move to the podium, and as soon as you start speaking, you will have 2.5 minutes to respond. Once that candidate sits down, we will follow in sequential order with the next candidate. Every time a new question is asked, a new candidate's name will be drawn.
No sound live. Just so you know.
When he needs to speak up, that's why.
Yes, I'm probably not using my voice. Each candidate.
No sound live.
I got sound.
Okay.
Each candidate chose their own seats on the stage this evening. And so there was no way for any candidate to choose the seat ahead of time, reserve your space. Each candidate's names were put into our basket only once to prevent the same candidate from answering a question, going first more than once. Like I said, each candidate will have 2.5 minutes to respond to each question, totaling a series of 4 questions. We will then take the 5th question from our Facebook Live audience, those of you that are watching. So if you hadn't had a chance to like or to share this broadcast, please do so now. And if you have a question you would like to ask a candidate, I encourage you to post that in the comment box as we will be moderating. Now, if you've been paying close attention to the Sierra Vista News Network Facebook page, you know that we've interviewed each candidate in a series of videos we called Know Your Candidate interviews. This allows each candidate up to a half an hour to talk about their platforms for office. And tonight, we will be asking specific pre-selected questions to each candidate that are more tailored to the issues that Sierra Vista faces. None of the candidates were given the questions in advance. Therefore, none were able to prepare responses. It's important for our audience to know that the responses we receive tonight will be off the top of each candidate's head. At Sierra Vista News Network, we feel it's very important for our residents to make the most informed decisions when it comes to selecting our leaders, which is why we've been so active over this political season, all culminating in tonight's broadcast, bringing you this live council and mayoral forum. Is everybody ready to get started?
Yeah.
Make sure if you're watching us live that you hit the like and the share button, and please do post your questions in the comment box. So we're going to start with our first question, and my assistant moderator is going to pull a name from the basket, and that candidate will get the question first. Sarah Pacheco. First question. How would you describe the roles and responsibilities of a city council member?
Okay. Is this one on? Hello? Okay. Okay. How would I describe the roles of a city council member? First and foremost, we are your voice at City Hall. We are your voice to your city government. We provide oversight of the management of the city and oversight as your representative to city leaders and city employees and paid staff so that they are running our city and governing our city in accordance with the wishes and the desires of our representatives of our city citizens. I also see part of an important role for city council members is as an advocate for you. Again, part of being your voice is being your advocate, not just to city staff at City Hall, but also on higher levels to your representatives. This is something that I shared before, and I'll share again, is that being on city council gives you a big microphone, right? It gives you a microphone where we can bring up those issues that are important to our citizens and bring up the issues to not just to city government, but also higher levels of government and federal agencies or state agencies, wherever it may be. They need to know, be consistently reminded of the specific impact in our hometown of the decisions and the rulings that they make. So, that's all I got.
Thank you, Sarah. Next, I'm going to pose this question to Craig Mount. How would you describe the roles and responsibilities of a city council member or mayor?
Hey, good evening, everybody. This is kind of new, so I think one of the things that we're going to kind of experiment as we go through tonight is being able to speak to a much larger audience for these types of forums than we've ever done before. Serving on council for the last, coming up on 3.5, almost 4 years, it's been a great honor, a great privilege. It's humbling at times when people come up and they have legitimate concerns and problems that are affecting them. And it's things that quite often we don't even think about until somebody comes up and says, hey, I've got a very specific problem. I've got a piece of my wall that the city said that they were going to come in and fix, and I'm getting a bunch of road noise, and this has been going on for years. How do we go about fixing that? We have people who come up and say that they can't get from point A to point B because transit just isn't working the way that transit should work. We have situations that come up where we take a look at things and we say, I'll give you an example. The young ladies who came up and they spoke to us about the chickens in the city. I had no opinion on it, to be honest with you, until somebody came up and said, we have a problem and we want to address it. And it was like, great, let's kind of work through the process and see how the process takes us. That's my job as your representative. I think first and foremost, though, our job as council members and ultimately the mayor is to be your advocate and your voice in all these decisions that are being made as it's concerning policy and how your money is spent. When council goes for a period of time and everybody's just simply agreeing, sometimes you have to be a bit of a contrarian in order to make sure that everybody's represented, in order to make sure that there's a bit of devil's advocacy in the decisions that were being made, because they're going to affect all of you. So when the city turns around and they spend $22,500 on a 2-minute video that none of you have seen, and they say that that's because they were awarded that, that's not true. So we have to be transparent, we have to go and we have to fight and say, this isn't our money, it's the taxpayers' money. When the city says we're going to spend $18,000 to do a survey to find out what 200 of you think, I have to go back down and say, well, what does the other 35,000 people that I represent think about that? When the city says that they're going to do a logo, a new logo, and they're going to spend $90,000, and then they turn around and they have 2 surveys, one for the special people who are handpicked and one for everybody else. We represent you in all things policy. Thank you.
Next, Carolyn Humphrey.
I think because I'm much shorter. Thank you so much for all of you being here, for all of you tuning in tonight. Responsibility, my role as a city council member when I get elected, I see it as being responsible for the city, making sure our budget is balanced, the policies are in accordance to what the consensus is of our city, and being responsible to the people of the city. Also, I see it as being an advocate for us at the state legislature, since so often that has become an issue, making sure we have money to pave our roads, we get our fair share to take care of our city, and also making sure that as your city council person, I'm an ambassador when I'm outside, when I'm in and around the city, and when I'm outside of Sierra Vista, I'm also representing Sierra Vista in a positive way that would reflect well on all of us. Thank you.
Next, Rick Mueller.
You're not going to restate the question every time, but just make sure you get that right.
I'll restate.
Well, no, I don't need it, but I just want to make sure I'm not going ahead. First, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight, and I appreciate the Sierra Vista News Network for being here as well to host this forum. I know I don't need to tell you folks that today is registered vote day, because you've probably already done that, so please share that with your friends. Basically, I will tell you that I agree with what Sarah said, and I'll just add a couple of things. As a council member, one of your most key missions is to listen. Listen to the community, listen to the other council members, having an open mind and being able to discuss the issues. As mayor, there's a little bit of a different role. One of the things as mayor you do is you essentially ensure that the council functions properly so they get the work done. Part of that is making sure that we can have open and honest discussions in the council, and the other is to make sure that the items presented by the staff who have done the homework to present the items have actually considered all the options that are reasonable and allow discussion to take place at the city council meeting. So actually the mayor is responsible to the council to make sure that the council functions appropriately and gets the work done for the people. Thank you.
Next, we'll have William Benning. Would you like me to repeat the question, sir?
No, ma'am, I'm good. Since the mayor stole my line. Good evening. Good evening, how we doing? What is it, just me with the room? Thanks for coming out. VFW, our home. I'm here every Friday night. I love this place. Love what it means, what it does. Like the mayor said before me by 2 minutes, our job is to listen. I give you a textbook answer. Our job is to pass laws and arbitrate. Textbook answer. But there's so much more to it because people expect so much more from us. I was walking streets the other night, and I'll give an example of listening. And I knocked on one door, and this young lady, she must have been mid-80s, invited me in her house. So I walked in her house. She was living there alone. She asked me to sit on the couch and talk. So I sat on the couch, thinking 15, 20 minutes. I'll say hi, tell her who I am, ask her to vote for me, and I'll be on to the next house. The young lady excused herself. She went to her kitchen. She brought me an iced tea. A true iced tea, like a Sullivan drinks with sweet in it. About 20 minutes later, I'm still on this young lady's couch, and we haven't talked about anything except Sierra Vista, how she got here, basically her life story. And to see her eyes and her smile was all that mattered at that point. So I spent about an hour and a half with this young lady. She made me some food. I was tried to. I wouldn't take any because I'd already eaten, plus I figured it'd be another hour. But all she wanted to do was sit and talk and have someone listen to her. Not tell her what we need, tell her what we're going to do, but listen to this one piece of this big puzzle we call a community. That's what we do. The other thing we're supposed to be doing is reaching out to our state legislators. When Drew Jones was still in office, I was working with him on royal bills the things that help us. Right now, we have no apprenticeship programs. You've seen in the paper, we had the first one start. Well, I've been trying to get an apprenticeship program for my industry, which is the hair industry, for about 1.5 years now. November 2nd, Doug Ducey signed SB 1399 into law. And that's from people reaching out, asking them, this is what we need. The closest school, so everyone knows, is 1 hour and 45 minutes away. So advocate, yes, just being what the people want us to be. Anybody can sit and make a policy, anybody can sit and arbitrate between and gather information and make a decision. It takes character and it takes ingenuity to sit down in someone's house for 1.5 hours and just listen, but then take action with what they say. Thank you very much.
And now we'll have Jason Schmidt. Would you like to? How would you describe the roles and responsibilities of a city council member and or mayor?
Thanks very much. First, thanks for the VFW for hosting and sponsoring this. I've been a lifetime member since 2005, so clearly I agree with the organization and the intent. I think it's important. Second, thanks here to the News Network. I think that's wonderful. The more times we get people out here to hear the message of all the candidates to make informed decisions, the better we are, right? First of all, let me just say that. Second, let me talk about the question. You heard a lot of different answers here, so let me kind of just talk high level a little bit and then I'll dig into it, unpack it. First, I think every city is slightly different. Some are incorporated, some are not, so the structure is slightly different, but generally you elect a city council and or a mayor to kind of be your driving force behind what the city's doing with your input. And what I mean by that is, certainly we can pass laws, but I don't believe we should pass a lot of laws. Frankly, I think the more laws we pass, I'm a Republican obviously, so I'm a little more conservative. I don't think we need to pass a law every day. I think what we need to look at is what the concerns are for the city. We incorporated and formed a city to get together as people and develop policies and procedures that we all agree with and we would live here. In the state of Arizona, we're in the top 20 of cities. So that means that the state of Arizona should provide that shared funding from our state, which is a concern to everybody, obviously, so we should have a part of that pie. But as city council, what we look out for is your interests. And everybody has different interests, and what we need to do is weigh them as hopefully subject matter experts in the field, have specific work groups and ad hoc sessions and discuss those, bring them back and form decisions to the people, let you evaluate what those are, and make a movement forward with a vote and an official, jurisdiction policy. So that's kind of how I see the city council. The slight difference for mayor is they should set the agenda and the vision. Like anybody as a head of a board or a CEO or whatever that might be, they should ensure we're meeting our policies. We have a plan for the whole year to meet through these. We have every function or section of our city being evaluated at least once a year, more like twice. We look at evaluation of our budgets and our policies, and the mayor should set that policy out and give guidance to the city council who evaluates and goes through those systems and assesses them. So that's my vision of the city and how I think the city council should work. But certainly if you believe something else, I'm happy to hear it. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you. Question number 2 is going to go first to Rick Mueller. What do you hope to achieve as mayor? What direction do you hope to take our city in?
Well, as I've said for the last 8 years, we need to make sure that we're a city where people want to come and they can grow, raise a family, and be productive. There's a lot of components to be able to do that. We have a vision that has been voted on by the voters in the Vista 2030 plan that lays that out in detail. It's the responsibility of council every 2 years through their strategic plan to determine which items have priority, so that in addition to the regular things we do on a regular basis, the police, the fire, the sewer, road repair, etc., we can continue to progress and make Sierra Vista a better community. A couple of areas that I'm particularly interested in, and as you've seen in the past years that needs to continue, is economic development. And granted, we had some fits and starts initially, but now we have a team that appears to be going the right direction, and we need to continue that. We have issues with water that we're going to need to address. We recently had a positive court ruling from the from the state Supreme Court on tribute, and we will be starting, I'm sure, shortly, a planning process to to build those neighborhoods. That's something else. The transportation, we just had a briefing yesterday on transportation. We have issues with the cost of running the local transit system. Those need to continue to be worked on. The BRAC is pretty much a non-starter at this time, and that's something that's always on the horizon that we need to be aware of. We basically killed sequestration, even though it hasn't been completely eliminated from the legislation. Again, that's another killer for the post. We started the consolidated dispatch with the county. That was something we've been trying to do for about 15 years, and the Monument Fire indicated to us that needed to be done so we can do that more effectively. And those are only some of the things that are coming up that we need to work on. And I've had experience in all those, and I believe I'm uniquely qualified to provide leadership on those issues. Thank you.
And I want to make Sierra Vista the most business-friendly city in Arizona. Every problem that we face is set because we have a lack of resources to pay for the services that we need to provide. Whether that's in education, whether that's what the city provides, you name it. So when we talk about being uniquely capable of leading this city, there are only 2 of us who have ever served on council who own businesses. I hope some of you all get elected who actually have some experience there as well. I'm one of them. We talk about some of the things, cybersecurity. The company that I own does cybersecurity. We talk about the policies that we have to do. Those are the things that I help bring to the table. The West End grant that's going to bring in new businesses was something that I helped bring in. The reduction in the development fees that are helping to bring in all this new development that's coming in are things that I helped bring in. And that's in less than 3 years. The economic plan that I put forward 2.5 years ago had the written endorsements of the Chamber of Commerce, the EDF, CHA, went through 3 town halls, had the CAC, which is the council's hand-picked people, all bless off on it. And you didn't have anybody on council who understood it. Didn't even make it to a vote. It was simply killed at consensus. That's not fair to any of you. And then we decry that we have budget woes, and then we waste your money. When I was elected 3 years ago, I was on a campaign to eliminate the wasteful spending of your tax dollars. And I've been pretty successful at that. Council people now go on their trips, they fill out trip reports. The thing that we're going to do when I get elected mayor is we're going to become the most business-friendly city in Arizona. We're going to turn around and we're going to look at everything that is impacting the ability for us to create wealth, create jobs, and put in new businesses. Once we do that, then we're going to start to fund the priorities that need to be funded appropriately and accurately. And we're going to be, most of all, transparent and accountable to you, which is something that, quite frankly, doesn't happen that often. I promise you, as your mayor, there will be improvements, and that's what everybody in here wants to see, and that's what all these candidates up here are running on as well. Thank you.
Next, Jason Schmidt. What do you hope to achieve as a city council member? What direction do you hope to take our city in?
Thanks for repeating the question, by the way.
You are so welcome.
Yeah, so I appreciate the answers. Excuse me, I'm going to do a shameless plug right here, right? So it's right there at the desk. The reason I'm making that plug is because there's a 6-point plan in the back, and I'm just going to kind of walk through it at a high level so you can see it to make sure you understand what my plan is, right? I think we need to promote community involvement. That's critical, right? I think I went to the city council meetings, and I saw very few people there, right? I didn't see that involvement in government that I hope to see to make good decisions. And you see selective groups kind of participate. And so I think that's where we start, right? We're a city, we're all friends here. 2, we need to grow new business. You've heard that a lot up here in the panel today. That's critical to any city, to grow new business. And you say, well, Jace, how can you say just grow new business? That's an easy catchphrase you can throw out. Well, let's talk about some of the examples of how you can grow new business. So when you grow new business, the city council is responsible for passing rules and regulations and laws and kind of different aspects of that. You can't go to a city business that comes on board and says, I want to build a business and I want to donate all this money and build this business and hire jobs. And then you tell them, I'm going to restrict you by having to do this, right? And some of those restrictions are good, obviously, but some of them are bad. And that's what we're seeing in Sierra Vista. We need to change the focus of some of those restrictions. Foster community safety, right? And I know we sat through a lot of briefs, but I will tell you that safety involves fire, police, and standard stuff. We need to make sure they're funded and trained. And I have many friends in the fire department, so I want to say that I think they are trained well, first of all. But I will say that that's an important facet of CRS. Third, cherish existing partners. Listen, we've hitched our wagon to Fort Huachuca, which I love. Obviously, I'm a reserve officer, so that's important to me. But at the same time, when Fort Huachuca makes the decision to move a gate to a different place than where our fry was in our West End development, you know, those kind of things affect everything we do in Sierra Vista. Or when they pass laws that say we're going to build a hotel on post versus letting everybody come out and stay in the community and put money in the community. Or when they say things like, listen, we won't let our new soldiers go on the weekend and spend money in the town because they have to be locked down at this time. Those kind of things impact us as partners. We need to discuss those and have good relationships. Finally, we need to ensure stellar community services. So what I mean by that is, let's take the Cove or the library, what have you. So I called the other day to get service at the city, and this is a personal experience, so I was pretty surprised. I didn't get called back for 6 times, right? So I called 6 times and I didn't get called back, and those are critical things. We need to make sure you have stellar community services. And lastly, let me end with this. All that's really well and good, but unless you drive fiscal responsibility, and to Craig's point, ensure our budget is well made and spent on the focus areas we need to, you really are in trouble. So thank you very much.
Sarah Pacheco, I'll pose the question to you next. What do you hope to achieve as a city council member? What direction do you hope to take our city in?
Okay, hold on a second. Internet went down, it should be back up in a second. I just don't want to cut into your response.
Okay.
That's like an NFL game.
All your time, Sarah.
Time out for the ad, don't you? We're trying to message from our sponsor.
Right.
Audience, how you guys doing? Is everybody clear? Are you hydrated? Everybody's drinking water?
We're good. We're good.
All right, we're back with Sarah Pacheco. I'll repeat the question for you.
Yes.
What do you hope to achieve as a city council member? What direction do you hope to take our city in?
So several of the things that are important to me have been mentioned by others, but I'll go over and echo the importance of economic development. For a start, we have as a city and as a county been in a recession, and it hit us pretty hard, and it's lasted quite a long time. And I echo the efforts of, I think we have a great team put together with economic development, and some of their ideas that have come forward are wonderful, and I support them. In particular, I look forward and hope to see our city capitalizing more on our proximity to Mexico. For economic development purposes, and create an environment that encourages developing not only that proximity, that relationship with Mexico, and increasing that, using that Mexico, that relationship, but also fostering development for businesses to come here. We hosted very successfully the Sonora Fest here in Sierra Vista in June, and there were so many businesses that came up and brought their goods here and sold them here at the mall, and they found such success. The mall said it was a record-breaking weekend for sales for them. I'm really excited that we're hosting that again, but it was one example of how we as a city can capitalize. We're right here on the border, and we can, we're not exactly a border town, but we are in the border region, and we can be capitalizing on that more. And I'd love to see us do that. I do want to see us build a strong, healthy community. That's really important to me. Part of the, recently we've had a few health assessments done at the county level, the city level, by different health entities, identifying some issues in our city, prevalence of domestic violence being one of them, substance abuse and mental health being listed as a top concern or health concern for the city repeatedly over many, many years, and also a rising homeless population. And those are public health issues that I would love to see our city take a lead in addressing, and
check it out with me, something like that, something positive, and to reflect back on it that way. I want other people in Arizona to look at our community that way. And a way we can do that is by marketing ourselves outside of Sierra Vista. The city started doing this successfully over the summer with the softball tournaments, and they brought in teams, various teams that came in from people who've never been to Sierra Vista before, and they said, they left with the impression of, wow, you guys have great weather, I wish I had this, they loved our fields. They're going home to wherever city in Arizona they live, and I'm sorry. And they're telling people about this great experience they had here. So if we can capitalize on that, market ourselves better outside of Sierra Vista, that's one way of getting to that vision I have of all of us being proud of our home. Another way would be cleaning up our first impression, the West End, making it a more walkable downtown, more attractive, bringing in new businesses to those empty storefronts. And your first impression when you're driving in, the first time you get stationed here, or you're driving in from 90, you think, wow, this is nice. It's not the story I heard the other day of a woman crying the first time she drove down Fry. I don't ever want to hear that again. So we have to change the environment, change the way people look at it, and I know we'll all be proud to call this home. Thank you.
William Bebe, what do you hope to achieve as a Sierra Vista City Council member?
I like that word achieve, because I haven't heard achieve yet. It's fun being last. This is twice. I'll be last all night. I love it. Great things come out here. Here's the issue we have. My main thing on my platform is the economy. I'm a full-time worker on the fort. I'm a small business owner. I own 3 to 4 hair salons, 2 here in Sierra Vista. Why it's important to me, or what I want to achieve. I want to be more economically sound. I'm tired of paying my employees and they come to me the day later saying, William, I can't make ends meet. Is there something we can do because it costs too much, or this costs too much, or I can't get things done? So we have to be economically sound. When we are, guess what? Cost of living goes down. Everybody benefits. How do we become economically sound? We make sound business decisions with our policies and our codes. We don't force things on businesses. We look at what they need and we look at what's going on and help the businesses. We are the soil the businesses grow in. The community and the business owner is everything else. We don't feed it, but we give it the soul to grow. It's kind of like if you planted or built your house on sand. As soon as that water comes around, you don't have a house no more. If we allow businesses to build on not solid ground, they're not going to stay here longer. If you're in business, you know 80% of businesses fail because of what? No business plan and no help. We have incubator systems that don't take a holistical approach to helping those businesses. Oh, your business plan looks great, Godspeed, have fun. A year later, they haven't looked at the business plan in a year. So where's that person and where's those people going back in saying, hey, update your business plan, the market's changed. Why is the market changed? Because that's what we're going to do when you say vision. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make sure codes don't put burdens on businesses when they try to open. You want to bring tech here. You want to bring cyber here. U of A has a great cyber program. Cochise College also. I sat down with J.D. Rottweiler, who wants to do things I want to do. I want to bring a baseball team here. I want to bring a soccer team here. Active college. But J.D., who needs the politics behind him, isn't going to do that. He's going to follow suit. He needs us, as a city council and the mayor, and the city going forward pushing these types of things. People ask how we can lower our medical problems. Let's advocate a healthy lifestyle. By doing that, we're going to change and we're going to achieve things we need to achieve, like a healthy economy. Thank you. My time was up.
So many of you have already mentioned the West End, which is perfect because question 3 specifically relates to the West End. This question is going to go first to Craig Mount. It's a 2-part question. Would you consider the West End of Sierra Vista to be thriving and successful? If not, what will you do as mayor to fix this?
No. That's the short answer to the first part of it. Obviously, we can look around and we can see that we have work to do The West End has been talked about for years, decades. And this is the one thing that I want people to understand. Being positive and being optimistic are great qualities, but we have to accurately talk about and address the problems to create the right solutions. This is what the paper said, and I love hearing the candidates talk. Credit Councilman Craig Mount for leading the effort to turn the tide. This is a reference to the West End. He began by attending an informal meeting of West End businesses and property owners at a local tavern, promising the city would go back to the drawing board and reconsider its ideas for the West End partnership. Third time might be a charm. Last year, Mount proposed setting aside $50,000 for the West End. Ideas, good, bad, bring progress. Mount's idea to create $50,000 in redevelopment account for the qualifying projects that have gone down in proverbial flames. Question for council: the city spent $1 million on economic development, had no measures of success until I showed up and made it a strategic objective of the city council to know what they were spending money on and to see if we were actually getting results. City debates economic development efforts. Craig Mount urged his fellow council members to act on his long-standing call to appoint an economic development commission. Why? Because nobody on council has ever owned a business or ever done with economic development, ever. They never have. Hey, this is the best. AARP forum, spots like the City of Sierra Vista canceled this 5 years ago. My opponent, the mayor, who I respect dearly, he agreed with me when I said the city's not even following their own plan that you paid for. It's right here. He agreed with me again the other day, a couple weeks ago at a forum. And everything that I've tried to do is try to follow that plan to a T if you open it up and take a look at it. And the things that we passed are the things that are going to start to work. And I say it with all seriousness. I don't want to come up here and tell you everything's great when it's not. But we do have an opportunity right now, if you're willing to make an improvement in the way our leadership looks at problems, and we work together to make sure that they get resourced effectively, and you allow us to come back and be honest to say how well they're working, I will show you improvement. And give me a council that's not going to sugarcoat anything. Give me a council that is going to be accountable to you, and we're going to stand up and we're going to say, this is what we're going to do. And we'll figure out the how. But this is what we're going to do, and at the end, we'll be able to show you the success. It's all been laid out over the last 5 years. Thank you for your support.
Carolyn?
Don't I get to go next?
No, we want to order next.
Well, he did it the other way. He did it the other way. Last question, you put Greg right after
Well,
me.
you know what, Mr. Mayor? Yes, you go next. Yes.
Okay.
Would you consider the West End of Sierra Vista to be thriving and successful? If not, what will you do as mayor to fix this?
While there are individual businesses that are thriving successful, as a whole, the answer is no. One of the things that I've been involved with for a number of years is a number of projects to try to improve the West End. Most of them have failed because of lack of funding, lack of interest, lack of working together with the community. I will give Mr. Mount credit for bringing back something that had been discussed before, which is creating a district that we had to call, unfortunately, by state law, slum and blight. And that, of course, caused some furor, resulted in the meeting that we had over here at the tavern downtown. And the results going into that meeting was either we were going to do it, we were not going to do it, or we were going to come up with a group of the willing property owners who were willing to address that. Fortunately, our staff did a great job of identifying a number of property owners in this area, and we eventually got that established, and we came up with the $50,000 to move it. I support Mr. Mount, as he said, in that particular effort, and I'm glad we did it. But that's only one of the things we need to do. We've had a number of plans in the past. For lack of funding, they haven't happened. We need to continue to work on the West End. We need to increase police patrol and services to the West End. We need to look very, very much forward to actually having money to improve the walkability and the safety within the West End, to make it attractive, so that businesses in the West End can all thrive, not just one or two. We did a survey through the Community Development Department, and we found out that overall in the city, we only have 8% of businesses that that need need to be open that are empty, and that's below the state average. The problem is over 50% of those are in the West End, and that justifies the money that we need to spend to bring back the West End. Thank you.
Carolyn Humphrey, as a West End business owner,
Exactly.
would you consider the West End of Sierra Vista to be thriving and successful?
I appreciate that.
If not, what would you do as a city council member to improve it?
Well, I'm very supportive of the revitalizing and redevelopment of the West End because, like I said in a previous answer, I think changing that environment is going to do us a world of good, not just help the West End be better, it's going to help all of Sierra Vista because we're only as strong as, you know, as every neighborhood, it all works together. I know part of that is a concern about narrowing the lanes. And I think we don't, when it says narrowing lanes, we don't have to give up all 5 lanes. I know we can explore taking a little bit from each side because those lanes are bigger than the standard right now anyway. We could look into finding something that would keep the consensus of Sierra Vista and also help us redevelop. The money's there because of the ADOT initiating the HERF exchange program. So the money's there to start the construction in a year or so. And that's a lot of times that's the problem. We don't have funding to do this, but the money's there now. So we should move forward and make it happen. Also, and I say this a lot with my answers on things, I'm big on partnerships. I've been to every West End Commission meeting since March. And one of the things that they do as a commission is neighborhood cleanups on the West End. A partnership between us and the county's going to provide roll-offs, dumpsters, to make it easier so we can clean up Fry Town. And that's huge because the old way was using our trucks and getting volunteers to come out and making runs to and we've turned in tons and tons of garbage already. I participate in those cleanups. That's going to make a huge difference for us working with the county to get the area cleaned up. And I think the redevelopment will bring in the businesses, and that's going to help it thrive. I know there are very successful businesses there now, but the West End entirely isn't thriving, but it can be. And so I want to see it go in that direction. Thank you.
William Bay,
I'm learning.
would you consider the West End to be thriving and successful? If not, what will you do as a city council member to fix this?
I think it's a hard question to answer, in all honesty. I think we have investors that want to go down to the West End, and we have them going down now. Earlier this year, or end of last year in December, I was able to move the Arizona Community Foundation down to the West End into Landmark Plaza. The director reached out to me. We were communicating, doing some other projects, and she wanted to move her location. So the first place I thought of was the West End. I explained to her the benefits, not only on her, but to the city. For those that don't know, the Arizona Community Foundation brings a lot of money into Arizona, but even more money into Sierra Vista, which is amazing. But she has high-end clients that come visit her. So they're going to the West End. So how important is it when you come to our city, come to the place we all keep talking about. So I went down there with paint brushes, paint guns, spray washers, with other people, and we spray washed the whole building, and we moved her in, and she's thriving down there. I have someone else that's about to open 2 businesses, 2 storefronts right on Fry Boulevard. People want to do it. We just got to give them more. Someone brought up the Economic Development Foundation, the regional, and they have a $50,000 matching grant. The problem is you got to qualify for it. As a small business owner, if you're in the audience or you're watching, one of the hardest things to do is apply for a small business loan.
That's a loan, not a grant.
Grant, a loan, yes, it's a loan.
It could be up to $100,000.
It's a loan, thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you. Do I get more time back? But you have to qualify for it to help fix your facade. Well, why don't they work with the city, who's giving away grants also, Let's work together and get these people some money. I know without it, it's hard to prosper on the West End. I know people that moved from the West End on the base, and the only reason they closed the shop on the West End was because the rent was too high. Now, that's nothing we can do as a city, but we can do things that help them. And that's what we have to start doing. Another good thing that's happening, money from the North Garden Avenue project, for those who haven't heard about it, we're revitalizing the North Garden Road, was diverted to Coronado. And I understand using as much resources as you can at the right place and the right time. Well, now, I was one of 3 people that was at the City Council work session last night. Now we're bringing the North Garden Avenue back on the plate, so we're going to start doing the North Garden Avenue project. Those are the things we got to start doing, is putting money to where money needs to go and keeping it there. Thank you. I'm sorry, thank you.
Next, Jason Schmidt. Would you consider the West End of Sierra Vista to be thriving and successful? If not, what will you do as a city council member to fix this?
Great question. So I'm reading the Herald, Sierra Vista Herald, if anybody reads that. I don't read it too often, but my wife showed me the article. We've been looking at the West End for 50 years, if the Herald is correct, and I have no reason to doubt their veracity. 50 years. In fact, in 1998, we did a study that we're basing some of our decisions on now. That tells me that we have gone about this in the wrong way, clearly. There's a triangle we use in project management. I'm a project manager, that's what I do for a living. I do it for United Healthcare, so I do multi-billion-dollar projects. I'm doing the state of Arizona right now. And the triangle is time, one line, resources, and money. All 3 of those must align. Anytime one of those doesn't get out of alignment, you're wrong, and the project is likely to fail. When I have people that tell me I've been doing a project for 50 years, I would frankly fire them, right? And so, you know, and even if they say I'm going to go back to 1998 and look at that as our stepping stone, there's a lot of internal discussion here, and I'll be honest, I'm not aware of what that is because I'm not on the city council. I can just tell you my perception as a citizen. And that is, when I look at 50 years of discussion about this topic, and even like in 1998 to now, it tells me that either we don't have the right people in office to take care of it, or we're not taking the right approach, or both. Right? And again, I'm not talking personalities here, I'm just saying we're not doing it effectively. So I don't think the West End right now is an effective project planner position we've done. Right? I'm just going to be blunt because that's how I am. And 2, I think we can do a lot of things to fix it because I love Sierra Vista. I used to come, when we first moved here 14 years ago, we had something called a Balloon Fest. Anybody remember that? It was a wonderful thing. I used to take my son, he used to picture things out of balloons, right? And I always wondered, what happened to that? Where did that go? And I think that's a great event and something we should do for Sierra Vista. And I look at all these things that Sierra Vista picks and chooses and things they think are important. And I think we need to focus on something and make it important. And right now, the West End, we do a lot of talk. And again, but if I could take the Sierra Vista Herald as kind of a subject matter expert in this field, and when I read that article, I just kept getting angrier as a citizen when I read that. And I wondered where we've gone astray. And again, I think we're all smart people on this panel here, and I hope we are anyways, and I hope we can get together to find a new plan. But I will tell you today what we're doing is not effective, and we need to take a new approach. Whether we scrap it completely, whether we go down to the citizens of the West End and ask them what they want, or we look at our funding pool from the federal government and the state government and our options. But I do think we could make it better. Thanks very much.
And Sarah Pacheco, question to you. Would you consider the West End to be thriving and successful? If not, what will you do as a city council member to fix this?
Thank you. I echo everyone here. I think we're in agreement. The answer is no. Just a drive down Pride Boulevard and you see empty storefronts and you see businesses that haven't been revitalized or haven't been brushed up in a long time, and you know that the answer to that is no. There's also a lot of empty undeveloped lots and empty undeveloped land in an area that is really supposed to be our downtown, and that's concerning to me especially. I would love to see us, a few things, a few ideas that's been brought up, but I haven't heard solutions to it, is holding absentee landlords accountable. We have landlords and landowners who own property and land in the West End that I understand that our city employees have reached out to. They tried to get them to participate in the revitalization efforts, and not even a response, not even any acknowledgement that we're trying to make our town better. You know, someone who's owed land for 50 years and just forgot about it and they live in another state and they don't care. You know, to me, that's an issue that we need to hold them accountable. I don't know, honestly, I will tell you that I need to school myself a little bit on how that could be accomplished, but I would love to see it accomplished. So that's one thing. I love that we have our new mural on the side of the CenturyLink building, and that's something I'd love to see us explore options for, I heard, for funding for public art. Downtown, I've seen the revitalization efforts that include walkability, bikeability, and landscaping. That is all wonderful, but I also want to see some public art. I think that helps us create an identity as a city. I think that also helps us, you know, create that downtown feel that I hope that we're looking for. That's what this town needs, a center, a place that we feel connects us to our town, connects us to the identity of our area. And I think public art would help with that, as well as, you know, maybe the landscaping and walkability, bikeability. And I would love to see the revitalization. I'm in support, and I think it's a good start. And again, I would love to see it broadened and bigger and include more land and businesses. But that's my thoughts.
Okay, we are over the hump. 2 more questions. Those of you that are watching live, just so you know, you still have time to submit your question for the panel. We have 1 more round before we get to the Facebook Live chosen question. So over these next few minutes, drop your questions in the comments, and we will choose one question to pose to all of our candidates on the panel tonight. So this next question, number 4, is going to go first to William Benning. The question is, many believe that transparent government is necessary. Several of you have already referenced that tonight in the panel. What will you do to receive the input of our citizens in critical decision-making processes? For example, what will you do to consider suggestions or viewpoints of Sierra Vista citizens?
Good question. So the first thing you do, and it's being done now, there's pages on Facebook, for instance, and I'll just use Facebook, where questions are posed every day. And as a candidate, you're on it, you're not on it. Candidates reply, candidates add, council members reply, council members don't. The first thing you have to do is keep an open mind. You have to listen to both sides and gather all the information. It's one of the first things they teach you in the Army when you start going through the Army, that military decision-making process. Identify the problem, then you gather your information. If you make a decision before you gather the information, you're going to be biased towards whatever decision you want to make. So being transparent, you have to have avenues. Facebook, website, social media. I put on events in Sierra Vista, so I'm at a lot of things at a lot of places, and I talk to people every time I'm there, every day I'm there, and get their input. What do they think about this? But you also have to look at, I don't want to say elders, but the people that's been there. So I listen to Craig Mount, Mr. Mayor, Rachel Gray, other people on council, and see what they do and what they don't, and I follow suit. See what works, what doesn't work. Being transparent doesn't mean I have to put everything out. What it means is when I do make that answer or make that decision, I have to let you know why. I remember a council meeting I went to, and it was a good topic being discussed. And one of the council members voted no to doing something. And another council member asked them why. That's the biggest thing we owe everybody, is why I'm voting this way, or why I'm making this decision. It doesn't matter if you agree with me or don't agree with me. It doesn't matter if I stand up here and you think I'm a salesman. I know what I'm talking about in business, and I know what I'm talking about in government. What matters, though, is why I'm doing something. What convinced me, or what made me make that decision for the whole, not one group. Economics is about the whole. Making the decision will last a lifetime for the whole and not for one group or one individual. And that's what I like to do. You can ask me anything, I'm an open book. So That's what transparent is. Thank y'all.
Of transparent government, what will you do to receive the input of our citizens in critical decision-making processes?
Okay, thank you. Well, I want to try to make myself as accessible as I can to everyone. So I have a Facebook page, I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'm active on all of those. And I keep a blog on my website, so as I'm learning things on the campaign trail, coming across new information and making up and honing my campaign platform, I've recorded all that. And I'm not just, it started as for myself offline, just writing down helps me remember things, but also to share with everyone where my thought process is. I intend to keep doing that when I'm elected so that you know why I feel a certain way on an issue, why I'm voting the way I'm voting. I know there's House members at the legislature that do this, and it's really helpful to see the insight on how they're thinking, because you don't always get that perspective from all of them. Sometimes they don't even email you back. I will email you back. I will answer your phone calls. So if I can't answer, I will call you back. And I just want to make sure that that's my plan on staying transparent for everyone. I'm not, I don't have a hidden agenda. I just want to do what's best for our city and right by all of you. Thank you.
Rick Mueller, in the spirit of transparent government, what will you do to receive the input of our citizens in critical decision-making processes?
Thank you. I think that's a great question. I think people have seen already, as for 10 years on council and 8 years as mayor, that I am out in the community. I'm open and accessible. I talk to people. We discuss issues every place I go. I am willing to take time to sit down and discuss and in detail go through any decision I make. I also, as mayor, have sat down with council members to make sure that we both understand each other's positions as well. That's part of transparency, and that's the kind of personal transparency that the previous two speakers talked about. And I pretty much agree with everything William Benning said, so I'm not going to repeat all that. There's also, as mayor, you have to be concerned about the official transparency as well, the open meeting laws, the publications, the requests for information, and those kind of things as well, so that on the formal level, the people have access to all that information too. Thank you.
Craig Mount, what will you do to receive the input of our citizens in your critical decision-making processes?
5 years ago, when I started running for council, I was probably the first person, as a city council person, who maintained a constant flow of information using social media. I live by a very simple creed. If you have a question, I'll put it in writing for you, and everybody can read it and hold me accountable if I don't do what I say I'm going to do. All of us are out in the public. All of us sit down with people. Only a few of us get out there and put what we are going to do and why we do it in writing. Go to my Facebook page. Go see why these people who are all running are using social media to communicate with you. Where was that even 4 years ago? I had it. You can go back and you can go through 4 years of documented comments. If the city council was so, let me give you true transparency. Another article. Council must lead, not follow. It's a bit surprising city council member Craig Mount still has hair. The city council seriously considered spending $5,000 to sit, so for us as council members could sit down with them to drink coffee with them. Does that really tell you that we're transparent? I had to fight that. We spent $18,000 for a survey for 250 people. Why? We had to fight that. I'm telling you right now, people, and I'll be very transparent with you. The most transparent thing that we can do is hold an election and hold people accountable. I absolutely respect the mayor. He's the first person who I talked to when I said I was going to run, and it's nothing personal. None of this is personal. But he's been there for 18 years, and he's already said that the West End stuff wasn't going to get done unless I brought it up and had to go and say. Same thing with some of these council members. They're all saying these things. I get it that sometimes I'm not the nicest guy in the room, but I'm the one who will talk to you and be straight about what the situation is, why I'm voting a certain way, why we're going to get things done. I run one of the largest businesses in this city's history, as Vice President of Operations. I lead people. I'm a veteran, but most importantly, I communicate clearly with the people who I represent, and I serve you. We went 2 years, nearly 2 years, without anybody on council voting no on anything. They got what they wanted, and you had 10 years of decline. Transparency matters both ways. I've laid a plan out. I am ready to lead. I know there's good council people who are ready to come up and lead with me, and they all want to serve you, but at least you know where I stand on the issues, and I've been that way for 5 years. Give me the mandate, give me a council that will help me get the things done, and I will produce results. Thank you.
Sarah Pacheco, what will you do to receive the input of our citizens in your critical decision-making processes?
Thank you. Thank you for this question. I think that our communication with our constituents is very, very important. It's not just how do we talk to you and share with you our why on why we're making decisions, but how do we listen? How do we make sure that we listen to you? I agree with some of the things that have been said. I think it's very important that we share our why when we make a decision, when we make a vote, share with you this is why I voted the way I did in my thought process. It also allows us that opportunity for constituents to answer back and say why they might disagree with it, and we could be educated that way by our constituents. I think to the point of being there, I am out in this community. I have a long history of community service as a volunteer on many boards for nonprofits and organizations and committees. Some of those, we started out just by getting together. We started the Sierra Vista Be Healthy Committee was doing what we call FaceTime on the West End, community FaceTime. We hold these FaceTime meetings where we just took input from the community members, this was a few years ago, to listen in on what they felt the concerns of their neighborhood were, on how we as a Be Healthy committee could advocate for them or work to address health issues in the West End. And so being there is one of my top ways to address that, to be out there in the public, out there in your committees, in your meetings, visiting with you and listening to you. And I do want to make myself as accessible as possible. You know, as been mentioned, social media and all of those things. I plan to continue to use social media to communicate, but as well as pick up the phone, make a phone call, or invite me to coffee or to your group to talk. That's something that I've done often in this community is being invited. We have a lot of organizations in this community that get together and talk about what's most important to them as a nonprofit group, as a service club, as a veterans club. And I've been invited as a speaker to many of those groups, and I would continue to visit with those groups and engage with you that way.
Jason Schmidt, what will you do as a city council member to receive the input of our citizens in your critical decision-making processes?
Thanks. Looks like I've cleaned up that here. All right, so when we talk about transparency, let's be clear, we're talking governmental transparency. There's no silver bullet. It's a consistent, methodical process that you do on a regular basis, right? So let's all be clear. I can't just say, here's my notes to the meeting. You should come see them. The New World Order says things like, hey, pump your own gas, bag your own groceries, come find my stuff on the internet, right? We as an organization are responsible to tell you as citizens what we do, right? So we need to push the data to you, and we need to do it on a methodical, consistent basis. So let me give you an example. I went to 400 doors to get signatures, as I'm sure everybody out here did, 400 different homes, and talked to 400 different families to get signatures to run for city council. And so I got 400 unique perspectives. And I went to different neighborhoods throughout Sierra Vista just to see what people were thinking, get a sense. And I will tell you that by far, about 80% of the people were like, wow, we have a city council? You're running? How does that work? That was most of the conversation. Not to sound silly, but that's what it was. And we became friends kind of in a 2-minute speech, because I had to hustle to the next door to get it done because I have a full-time job on top of trying to run for office, right? But what I found interesting was that most people didn't realize what that was. And so getting those signatures, I went to city council meetings and I said, well, maybe they don't understand. Maybe I've just never been there. Maybe I've got to educate myself. And sitting at city council meetings, I realized many of the meetings are during business hours, so people are working, they can't go, right? Many of the online, when they show the stuff on the screen, it goes faster. They don't show it online, so you couldn't watch it from home. And I've heard many people tell me that. And many times there's not interaction with the public. Listen, if we're friends, we share stuff, right? We talk, we have coffee, we walk through things together, and we give each other the benefit of the doubt. If you don't know who your city council person is, you're not a friend, right? So we need to get out there and say, I'm on city council after I win. I'm doing this. I need to be my face in a parade, sit in a chair, whatever. Come see me. Hey, let's have a cookie. What concerns you? I mean, not to be silly, but we got to be human and friends and talk about real issues that affect us. Because I'll be honest, I'm somewhat of a smart guy, but I don't have all the answers. And together as a community, we need to work through them. And we need to get to know each other to do that. That, to me, is transparency. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you all so very much. This final question was posed by one of our live broadcast viewers. This question is going to go first to Jason Schmidt, who just sat down.
Fantastic.
The question is...
Unless it's a tough question, then pick something else.
What will you focus on to help with the well-being of our citizens as opposed to focusing only on businesses?
That's a great question. There's like a lot of layers that I have in 2 minutes here, so I'm going to do the best I can to shove it in the little box, right? Well-being to me is not about dollars and cents, although dollars and cents are critical. And let me give you an example, right? I kind of work in the healthcare industry. So if I provide you healthcare, you need to be both have an ability to call somebody to get help, member services. You need to be able to get good healthcare, have a doctor and a nurse provide you good whatever. You need to have a pharmacy that provides you good prescriptions if you need drugs or whatever, or a physical therapist to help you work through the process. So there's a lot of facets of that. It's just like in a community, right? So I'm going to have dollars and cents that are going to pay for a budget. We have roughly a $70 million budget for the city of Sierra Vista, if you didn't know that. And there's a lot of things we're spending dollars on. But for example, let's just take the West End, right? It's not just about saying, I have 14 slots for business, I'm going to put 14 business in there and assume it's going to run, because it's not. We are a community, right? That's why we have police say, I need to do community policing, because they need to be part of that solution, right? So the well-being of community is things like identity, right? So I was a lobbyist for a while in New Mexico. I know, please don't boo, right? But I worked for higher education. And so one of the things that was important was, and I worked in a city that had an identity, right? They had stucco and adobe, and that was our whole Santa Fe, the capital. And they had an identity as a city. It wasn't about dollars. When people think Santa Fe, they think identity, right? Wellness. Sierra Vista needs to have the same identity concept, right? And I'm not saying every building has to look the same, but we need to have wellness of people. And wellness is things from transportation to the right place and giving those opportunities. Wellness is about educational and opportunities for your family. Wellness is about things like the Cove and getting kids and events at the parks. Those are all things that aren't necessarily tied to dollars, even though dollars are important. So it's about the growth of us as a community to make sure we have strong bonds and that we have a good solid base, right? So that's what I mean when I say that. And lastly, also, because I'll be honest, I'm a Christian, so I come from that kind of value, right? I think good churches and schools and those kind of things are critical to our lifestyle, and good family relationships. So those kind of things to me are wellness that aren't involved with dollars. So thanks very much.
Thank you. Since this is the last question, I just got an idea. I want to pose this to the panel. How about we have our city council candidates answer first, and then we close with our mayoral candidates. Y'all like that? All right. Sarah Pacheco, what will you focus on to What will you focus on to help the well-being of our citizens as opposed to only businesses?
Thank you for that question. Whoever asked online, I don't know. As Jason said, I do echo that well-being is not just your health, but it can be that we as a city have an opportunity to create policies, systems, and environments that create a well-being for our citizens. And some of those policies or systems and environments, I will give an example that the Be Healthy Community Committee several years ago looked at safe routes to school, for example, that we wanted to affect healthy habits in children, and instead of saying do this, do this, do this to the kids, we looked at the environment that they lived in. And we identified a place on Avenida del Sol where the school district was busing kids from across the street. It was less than a mile. They were being bused because the parents didn't want the kids to cross a busy road to get to the school. So we advocated for a crosswalk that was manned, so not just a crosswalk, but a manned crosswalk and a school zone with flashing lights, so that it was a safe crossing. And that's an example of an environmental change that was made to help with the well-being of these families and also save the school districts some money because they weren't transporting kids less than a mile. And a crosswalk could be put in to answer that question or answer that, problem. So there's a lot of things that we could do. I know that it was a couple years ago, a study was done in our community. I'm not grasping the name of it. It was done by Dan Coxworth, and that was not enacted upon. It was healthy. It was healthy community. Like they looked at walkability and bikeability, but also ADA areas of issue or safe routes to school, where they identified frequently walked areas to school that didn't have sidewalks or didn't have adequate lighting and things like that. And to my knowledge, we could still take that big study that was done and enact some of those things to create environmental change that could affect the well-being of our citizens. So I think also that well-being does pertain to quality of life, and so I would echo maintaining that quality of life for our citizens is important.
Carolyn Humphrey, what will you focus on to help with the well-being of our citizens as opposed to focusing only on businesses?
That's a great question. Thank you to whoever. History, and I've been watching it. The well-being of our community is extremely important to me. I think here in Sierra Vista it's more attainable than other places in America because we have, for example, me living on the West End, I walk my children to school every day, and then I walk to pick them up. My husband can ride his bike to work. I run my business in a shop behind my home, so I get to work from home. I mean, it's just, I have the dream. And I think that adds to quality of life and well-being. Happy people get sick less. I was in I went to the Good Morning Sierra Vista recently, and the guest speaker was Sheriff Daniels, thank you.
Yes.
And he was talking about how, because this has come up before, we don't have a crisis center here in Sierra Vista, which is a huge problem. And so what happens is our firefighters and our EMS and our police officers end up dealing with things that should go to a center like that. And unfortunately, we don't have that. So what he was bringing up was that in all the people they end up detaining and end up bringing to their jail, 67% of them are suffering from some untreated mental affliction. And when I talked to him afterwards, he was saying he really wants to see something like there's a center in Yavapai County that when the police officers, when they pick people up, they can bring them there. And out of, let's say, 1,000 people that they pick up, only 7 of them have been arrested since they put this center in place. Huge change and greatly affects family that this would be a huge help for us here. I would love, as a city council, as someone in government, to help support an effort in that area. I also think making sure we, when we can, I know it has to be prioritized in the budget. I'd like to see more multi-use paths so people can go all around town no matter if they have a car or not, linear parks and the like. Thank you.
William Bennett, what will you focus on as a city council member to help with the well-being of our citizens as opposed to focusing only on businesses?
Okay, first I'll just put it out there. In order for the city to provide any kind of wellness, we need money. The economy is very important. I don't care who says it's not. Without the economy, the city cannot provide support in that means in those aspects. To do a crisis center, we need money. To do a rehabilitation center, we need money. Fix the economy, we can provide services we want in our city. That said, I think it's up to a council person to support well-being in the community. Like I said, I moved businesses to the West End, but I also participated in the last 5 years with the West End cleanup. I also started and run movies in the park. In the park. I volunteered and I run 4th of July. I volunteered and I started an event called Second Saturday. I volunteered and I do Halloween in the park. So we as individuals can promote wellness. It doesn't take a policy to help somebody else out. I belong to a group called CCRC, Cochise County Reentry Coalition. What's nice about this group, we're small, but we bring businesses, or excuse me, organizations within the community together so our voice is large. That's supporting wellness. I don't need a policy that says, Mike, John, Bo, you're going to come down here and do this, because people don't work like that. We work out of the goodness of our heart. And whatever religion you are, whether you don't have to be religious or not, I don't even go there, but we do it because we want to do it. We spend time with people because we want to do it. I'm happy as all get out. I was voted in the top 3 for philanthropist in Sierra Vista by the people. Never asked for it, don't want the award, but other people see the things I do, and that's heartfelt. Because we all up here, whether we win or not, I ran 5 years ago and I didn't win. All I did was keep working in my community. I kept doing things in my community that kept me involved. Because this community, I agree with Carolyn, we're not like any other community in the world, in the U.S. It's something special. I remember the Monument Fire. How many people were in their Jeeps and trucks, picking up dogs, picking up horses, picking up other people with fire next to them. I have a great video if you want to see it. Fire up around my Jeep. We did it because we love each other. That's how we promote wellness. We don't need policies to promote wellness. And those who think we do, if we do, then let's build the economy and we can pay for it. It works hand in hand. Thank y'all so much. VFW, Levi way back there, these great people up there. The Herald, do I have time? No, okay.
Thanks so much time as equal.
Nope. Y'all be good, thank you.
Thank you, William. First of our 2 mayoral candidates on the panel.
Yeah. I got it. Oh, is it? Are we changing the question?
Nope.
Yeah, so I don't think that anybody runs for council to simply promote business for the sake of business. You know, there's a reason why the city stood up and funded an economic development department 6 years ago. You know, they swapped economic development people out trying to get it right. And that's why it is critical that we talk about it. You know, William Bennett's got a very good point. Everything that people ask for, you know, I just kind of wrote down the list: crisis center, opiate addiction, fire, medical, events at the park, multi-use paths. All of those things require funding, and the city is a service provider. So to think about it this way, we bring in taxes, and predominance of our taxes that we bring in as a city are sales taxes. So we have to find a way to fix that part, or else what you see is what you saw a couple years ago, where the city raises your taxes because people have services that they need. But our economy's been in decline for 10 years, and that's the reason why elections matter, and why you have to hire professionals who understand how economies work, who have businesses, who have a stake in the game, who aren't just up here just for the sake of it. Most of all, and I'll go back to those of y'all who care about education, because the economy goes hand in hand with that, because if your property values go up, most of your education dollars come from property taxes. So here's what we have to do. We have to continue to understand what the city's job is to do. The city's job is not to be the single source of entity that's going to solve all the problems. But we did stand up and say we're going to solve the economy. We funded people to do that. We're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to do that. So we have to show a result. And if we can continue to show a result, then what we can do is we can provide better and better services, more sustainable services. Or you see problems that we do run into, like the code. The wave pool doesn't work anymore. We don't have the money to fix it, but it's still under a bond that all y'all are still paying for. It's not sustainable. So we have to continue to look at things, and it's not saving the businesses, but it's how do we grow the wealth, how do we grow the jobs, how do we grow the businesses? Because taking care of people also includes making sure that they have good jobs. And I tell you what, as somebody who, we spent a lot of time with our charities, and we were talking earlier today about as much time as we spent at the animal shelter, things like that. Everybody's got a pet project that they care about. They have a charity that they care about. And they're all really, really good. And if you want to see those charities get really well funded, create jobs with discretionary incomes with people who care, and they will go out and they will donate and they will take care of those charities. So as a mayor, elect somebody who's going to solve the first problem, which is the economy. Give me a council that I can work with. We will maintain and sustain the services that you need, and we will see that trickle through the rest of the community. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Rick Mueller, would you like me to repeat the question? Sir.
Please.
What will you focus on to help with the well-being of our citizens as opposed to focusing only on businesses?
Well, obviously, as been stated, there is an economic connection. I think we had some good discussion here today. Sir, I'll share with you that the information that was collected by Dan, that we use that for community development block grants to justify the lights and the sidewalks and those type of things. And that's one of the roles of government. The other role of government specifically is to make sure we have adequate parks, walking paths, and those kind of things. But really what I think we're talking about here is partnerships that go beyond, or issues that go beyond really the ability of the city of Sierra Vista to deal with. And in this case, we need to work with partners. We do have partners with, we are partners with Salvation Army and work with them on issues. We work with the Forgash House. We work with the Neighbor Alliance and other areas. And the whole partnership, and with a number of wellness agencies. There are things that the city can help them do to be more effective to help our citizens. And there are things that they are uniquely qualified, which the city will never be able to do to help our citizens. That's why the partnerships are important. That's why we need to continue to reach out when there is a social service agency, a charity, or whoever has an issue that they think the city can help. The city has been and hopefully will continue to be open to assist those folks in taking care of our citizens, no matter whether the issue is mental health, women's issues, abuse, child abuse. I know the police department also has a number of folks that they outreach with to deal with criminal events that deal with this as well. So really the key for the future to be able to be effective to answer this question is we need to have effective partnerships where the city plays a role and those appropriate agencies play their role as well, and we get the public involved. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all so much. Can those of you in the room give these candidates a hand, please? So before we get out of here, we're going to allow every candidate on the panel 30 seconds to let the audience and to our live audience know where they can find you, where they can connect with you between now and the election on November 6th. And we will start with Mr. Jason Schmidt.
Thanks very much. First, I would be remiss without saying thanks for being here, thanks for the great questions, and thanks for people who are online asking the questions, and of course the VFW Hall. Thank you very much. You can connect with me. I'll be out around. Obviously, you'll see my big signs on the corners. Maybe you haven't, but if you haven't, you'll drive by and you'll see them. And I'll be going door to door, meeting people, trying to make sure I understand what the key issues are. But my email is jasonandrewschmidt@gmail.com, and that's kind of how I'm operating at this point until I get elected. And then, if we're elected, then we'll go another route, right? We'll work with the city. But if you see me anywhere or doing anything, please just let me know. I'll be happy to help you when I can. Thank you so much.
Sarah Pacheco.
Thank you so much for coming today. Everybody, thanks for tuning in online. My website is sarahpacheco4sbcouncil.com. That's the same Gmail, sarahpacheco4sbcouncil@gmail.com. And I am on Facebook at sarahpacheco4sbcouncil.com. I mean, for Facebook. So you see a ring to it, a little ring to it, maybe. So yeah, connect with me through Facebook. I've had people that have messaged me there. They've called me. They've sent me emails, and I'm happy to just shoot you a direct answer back. And I'm happy to get coffee with anyone anytime. Thank you.
Great, Bob.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for putting this on by Service News Network, Monique. This is an amazing evolution for how we do communicate with the public. And although there's some serious discussion and that brings out a serious response, it is fantastic to see what we're doing here. Obviously on social media, Craig Mount, SBCC for Facebook. I'm on Twitter, you can just search Craig Mount, pop up. LinkedIn, believe it or not, I'm on there with about 2,800 business professionals. There are a bunch of CEOs and other people who I know that we're going through. Most importantly is coming up on the 20th, we're doing a full town hall. Come as you are, ask any question you want to anybody who still has questions that want longer responses. Right here in the VFW. Thank you.
Carolyn Humphrey.
I'm not sure. Thank you so much, Levi, SBNN, for having us here, all of you for coming out and for tuning in live. I have a website, carolynhumphrey.com. It's like Humphrey without the H. We have jokes about it in our family. I'll tell you later. On all social media at carolynhumphrey.com. Just no and no dots, just at Carolyn Humphrey on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and carolynhumphrey@gmail.com. Reach out to me, I want to talk to you. Or maybe I'll just come to your door in a not creepy way.
Rick Bueller.
I'm probably the only one up here that is old enough to tell you that I am listed in the phone book under Frederick Mueller. You can call me in the phone book, okay? Also, you can reach me at the city. There's more biography information, etc. on the city website, on the council page, and that includes anybody that's on the council as well. So please check it out. I want to thank the moderator for a great job, and I appreciate Service News Network doing this and adding a new component to our ability to outreach to the community. Thank you.
William Benning.
I'm used to this. I'll be like that on November 6th. All right, hey, real quick, thanks Levi, thanks SBNN, Monique, always a pleasure when here. I'm easy, kind of like everybody else, but I'm as old as Rick, I think, because I have a rotary phone, so my phone number is area code 256 Benning. For those who don't know, you got to figure out what the letters spell on the phone. Long story. www.williambenning.com. My email is cm@williambenning.com. Facebook page, of course, William Benning for City Council. Day or night, I'm always up, always working. The best place to find me is Trim's Hair Salon, Highway 92 East. We do everything with heart. Y'all have a beautiful evening. Thank you. Be blessed.
Thank you again to all of you for joining us this evening. Thank you to our live audience, our in-studio audience. Thank you to our live watching audience. We appreciate you. I'm sure the candidates are going to stick around for more questions, maybe, I don't know. But thank you again for those of you that tuned in to the Sierra Vista News Network page. Remember, if you are not following the page, please do, and continue to stay politically engaged and involved. Every candidate gave you their information for where you can find them, so I encourage you to connect, get your questions answered, be an informed and educated voter. We'll see you on November 6th. Thank you for coming.
So we're going to close it down, guys. Mr. William Benning. Great job. Mr. Mayor, good to see you again, sir. Hello. Nice job there, Carolyn. Great job. Great job, Mr. Mount. This is Mr. Schmidt, like the astronaut. And Sarah. I just want to thank you for, you mentioned something that nobody else did that's very important to me, and that is the relationship we have with Sonora. I just wanted to thank you for mentioning that. I love Claudia down there, the governor, and I really think we just need to make them the 51st state, and that's very important to this economy here, is making sure we work together and kind of work together as much as we can on similar problems and stuff like that. So thanks very much for mentioning that.
I think it's
I love your shirts, by the way.
Can everybody hear me? I would like to exercise my moderator privileges and have a photo with all of the candidates that were on the panel. You don't have to, but if you want to, let's take a picture.
Carolyn. Well, she's going to take a picture. It should be done.
Carolyn, come get a picture so we go. Hurry up! I do like
I mean, if I have questions,
I want all the top folks on the outside.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody look at me. Say great job. Okay. Y'all can do whatever y'all want. Yeah, y'all can do. Oh, funny faces. Ready, 1, 2. Alright, that's right. Thank you.
Carolyn, you are all the small ones in the middle.
Oh, I did that on purpose. Because they don't look like your size. Yeah, I need like nobody knows how tall I
So we're gonna do a sample cast here, guys. Once again, this is John Sullivan, and we are down here at the VFW. This was the city council today.
Oh yeah.
I actually was running for the city council. That's where I got to know Tim over here. Hey, John. Doing great. This is Rachel Gray. She told me earlier she's stuck in there. And so I don't know.
Alicia, Bob is ready. Bob is not ready. Craig.
Existing, and she's running again. And so, once again, guys, we really have a really great city council lined up coming up down the road here. I was just telling Councilwoman Gray, they all kind of have positions that I really was running on myself, so I'm very happy with this group. Unfortunately, worst case is 3 out of the straight panel can get my vote, and I kind of already know who they all are. I'm not going to waste time with you. One's not voting for. Know who they are. We're going to wrap this up. Catch all of this in its entirety on the mid-month review. The mid-month review is going to be out around the 15th. And I really didn't have a lot of good material this month since Joan Jett had to cancel. So we're not going to do so much Border County USA.